Good morning. I'll call the County Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order on this day, Tuesday, August 12th at 8:30 a.m. We begin our meeting with a pledge, so please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda? I'll hear a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Before we begin our official meeting, I'd like to welcome our new administrator. And we had a little discussion yesterday about her name, your name.
Yes.
And she said, you can call me Kristen Tribble, or Administrator Tribble. So that's how we're going to address you for the future reference. Even though your name tag gives you the whole works.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, at this time, we will have a public comment period, but as I look out here, I see no one unless someone would like to step up with anything. Okay, so then I'll ask the board, have any of you received any public comments that you wish to share? Okay, thank you on that. Moving on to the consent agenda, which covers quite a bit, so I'll read that off. We have the claims, the minutes of the county board meeting from July 22nd, a resolution to support the FLAP application, renewal of annual liquor and tobacco licenses, the resignations of the following folks: John Speaker, termination of an employee, Dana Logan, resignation of Allison McIntyre, resignation of Marissa Chapman, and appointment of out-of-class appointment, and the hire of Megan McClanahan. Commissioner Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to our first item of business, Neva Maxwell will be coming up to talk about residential open space overlay.
Great. Good morning, everyone. So this is the continued saga of the newly created residential open space overlay district with corresponding open space subdivision bonus residential densities. It's a mouthful, but for Administrator Treble, welcome to the county. This is a set of ordinance revisions that were passed in May of this year, and the aim is to create a route for property owners with larger tracts of acreage in the county that are well located to potentially create clustered developments of residential development. So with that said, the HRA did their strategic planning over the last month, and they identified 5 strategic priorities for their next year, one of which was to try to help get this ROSO district off the ground. And so I met with the HRA director, and we talked about different ideas for how to do that, and we identified that there's a big gap in knowledge for property owners. You know, they're not land developers. And so we figured we would host a series of community meetings throughout the county to try to meet with landowners and answer their questions. If anyone has property that might be interested in learning more about this, saying, you know, I've got 20 acres, it's a 5-acre minimum lot size, you know, should I create 4 5-acre lots, or should I try to create 8 residential lots and have 50% of that land set aside, the wetlands and the bluffs and all of that. And so we'll be hosting these meetings. And so the HRA director and I wanted to come to you and present these potential dates that we're planning on having. And so we have set aside and confirmed dates, and I have kind of a draft flyer. I'm still waiting to confirm one date. I was hoping to have that ready for you completely. But our plan to get this going is there'll be a series of meetings throughout August and September on Mondays and Tuesdays. We'll be at the Hovland Town Hall, the Colville Town Hall, the Shop Community Center, the courthouse here, and then Schroeder Township is the 5th one that I'm still completely waiting to get settled. So something a little bit everywhere, we're hoping. The HRA will be sending out a mailing to property owners that are ideally within a half mile of those public roads with acreages over 15 acres in size that are kind of in that queried search area, so that people will get a little postcard in the mail, say, hey, there's these series of meetings, we'd love to have you come and attend. And also, I would really welcome landowners, if they are interested in this, they can contact me ahead of time personally, and I would love to look up their property, help kind of do that initial, review for them, so they kind of know if it's worth their time. The HRA has a lot of access to technical resources and can help landowners get directed towards the professionals that could help them, get these things off the ground. So that is what I wanted to put on your radar. You have so many touch points with our community, and so I was hoping that you can help us get the word out about this if you know anyone who might be interested. And then we'll have a formal flyer. I have a draft today. I hesitated to give it to you. I was hoping to get confirmed with our HRA director beforehand, but he wasn't able to join us today. But I can give this to you ahead of time so you at least have most of those dates and kind of a summary of this information. And then if there's any questions, and also just a reminder, if you guys are interested in attending, I would just appreciate knowing in advance so we don't have any open meeting law issues. And so that's more or less what I have for you. And if you have any ideas for how we can make this better, I really welcome that. The dates begin on August 26th and roll through September 30th.
So, Neva, I do have a question in regards to Schroeder. Is that the only area, or is it Lutsen and Tofty included going to Schroeder, or what was your selection on Schroeder?
Yeah, we tried to host at the Lutsen Town Hall. We had difficulties getting feedback on the availability of the room. And so Schroeder Township, in the interest of time, we have to get these mailings going. They were receptive and very available. That September 29th date we're planning on Schroeder coincides with the same night that Schroeder Township will be having their public meeting for their land use plan update. I've been working with the Township Land Use Planning Committee over the last year to talk about their plan update, and so we have kind of a final draft of that. So at 7 o'clock, the Township will be having their community meeting on that plan update to receive all the public input from the neighbors on what they think of the proposed plan update. But this meeting will be at 5 o'clock, so it'll be just before at the same location, hoping that will be efficient and convenient for folks.
So everyone from the West End would be invited?
Yeah, everyone's invited to any of the meetings. If there's a meeting right in your backyard, but you have softball that night, then come over to, the next meeting. So it's totally okay. Yep.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Commissioner Gamble?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to comment and commend the effort to move things forward. Oftentimes, we put things in place and we celebrate getting them in place, but we don't do the further work of getting it out and making it accessible to people. So I think this is great, whatever we can do to let people know during a busy summer season, but nevertheless make an effort so that we keep it moving forward. We've created the opportunity, and now we want to see who's going to take advantage of that, and certainly to inform them is a big part of that. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamble. Part of also of this timeline, too, was trying to get the folks who are seasonal up here. We recognize that if we waited till the winter time, a lot of people might be Arizona. So
Sure.
Just trying to
Yeah.
get people while they're still in the area.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for the info, and we look forward to those meetings.
Thank you so much for your time. I'll send you out a final version of the flyer when I get everything confirmed. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Moving on to item 5 then, LEC expansion bid approval.
Commissioners, thank you for having us. This has been a long journey to get to where we are. We went out and publicly solicited bids. We had a nice bid return for being in Grand Marais, which as always can be a struggle to find contractors to come up here. We started the journey with a budget number of close to $8 million with the CIP money, and we came in about 8.5. So I think the bid results, we did pretty well. And this includes a lot of the CIP stuff in the existing building, the HVAC upgrades, the roof replacement, the shower expansion, upgraded flooring, multiple of things. So We are at, as you can see by my comment here, we are at 8.458 is where we ended up being. It was looking like 8.5, and we came in a little bit under that. So I'm very happy with it. I hope you guys are. It's the contractors, we had a pile of bid responses, so that was great. So we are looking forward for an approval to move forward with contract. Permitting's already been applied for. We have a timeline right now that we need to move on. Precast originally during bid time came in as a February, March delivery time. I have it moved up to around Thanksgiving, but we have to make some commitments soon. So we are looking for a commitment to move forward with this project and get under construction before winter comes.
Brooke, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so we have owner-supplied items, some on your list, some that were missed on the list. We have the special inspections, appliances, temp controls, TVs, the law enforcement lockers, the transformer replacement. Then we also have some interior signage, fume hood, landscaping, and then all the interior furniture. So with all of the owner-supplied items, I'm at approximately $465,643. Big ticket of that is the furniture, the cubes, the offices, the conference rooms, and the emergency operations center.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions? Commissioner Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the combined is around 9 million.
Correct.
And the question would be, and you prefaced your comments by saying it's been a long journey. Usually when you're intentional, you take time in doing something, you can underscore that you've been thorough. And your experience as a contractor, when you're looking at things and pricing them out and trying to anticipate and whatever else to make sure that we've got everything covered, that I'm sure your experience has taught you that oftentimes the chargeable changes are what ends up killing it, making it very difficult financially. And I think the stewardship responsibility, basically, and why we hire individuals such as your organization is because we want to be good stewards of that. Anticipate, put it all in so we don't have any surprises. So my comment in making that statement or question basically is how comfortable are you, given your experience, that we've done our due diligence here to protect ourselves against additional costs?
We have done our due diligence. We've done weeks and weeks of bid reviews, discussing with Brooke, looking at BKV's documents, finding the holes, picking up the stuff that would, as you say, would become a change order. So is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But do I think, there's always discovery in an existing building, but I do not foresee anything large. The only unknown right now is there's a sewer line, a drain line that runs through the existing parking lot, that there was no soil borings done there. But we think that's filled anyhow, so that we may hit rock, we may not hit rock. We have made some allowances for rock blasting in that parking lot right now, and we're hoping that's adequate. The biggest unknown in our line of work is in the dirt. That is really your biggest surprise factor. I think BKV can attest to that. So the rest of it's pretty straightforward construction. It's precast. The other unknown would maybe be some incidental stuff inside the existing building that we find during the mechanical upgrade, but I don't see any of those being sizable.
Yeah. The other thing as a follow-up in our experience up here, given what our soil and topography is like, is we basically know the potential to encounter the rock is definitely something that's there, so we try to anticipate and do the best we can in that regard. But the other thing then would be that the board action, of course, with the timeline that you've set and what coordinating all of this so that we manage costs that don't get delayed in process. So appreciate the response. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Shane? From back in March, there was a list of capital improvement work items.
Yep.
And I know some of them were crossed off, but I wasn't aware of how they all landed. I had left that generator was an open
The generator's
item.
in the project,
It's in the project now?
Correct.
Okay. And the complete fire alarm replacement?
that is in the project. It's
Okay.
not.
That's a partial,
It's
though.
not a complete fire alarm
Yeah.
replacement, it's a partial. And the reason
But-
that being is your fire alarm system was upgraded in 2019. And the ESC, who is your fire alarm control contract, service contract right now, so there is absolutely no reason to replace the whole system.
Okay.
Which ended up being a significant cost
Yeah.
savings.
Yeah, I knew it was, we weren't sure at that time.
Yep, exactly.
And then the last one I had was that complete security system upgrade.
There is,
So-
yes, there is, and Rowan and I have been speaking a lot about that. Rowan's here. So yes, that we are upgrading the security system, correct.
Okay.
And a lot of the cameras, switching to the Verkada
Yeah.
system.
So so basically you've evaluated all of those and it's either in or it's out. And
Correct.
It's not going to come later, so.
Yep.
Commissioner, I have a question, and this may be a newbie question, so bear with me, but at some point, will we receive a list of what will be covered by the jail bonds and what will be the CIP bonds?
Okay, so Brooke and I have been discussing this. The jail bonds cover certain things, and the general bond covers the new building. So when we have a list of what you want, how you want your money moved around, we will develop that list.
Okay, thank
So
you.
what I'm gonna do is go back to the subcontractors of that discipline, of that CIP money, and have them break that money out.
Yeah, we just-
If we would have done it at bid time, the list wasn't totally clear, it would have been ultimate confusion, and a lot of subcontractors would say, you know what, I'm not doing this, it's not worth our time. But if you do it as a single project and then break it out later, you get a lot better response. Does that
Thank
make
you.
sense, Brooke?
Yeah, that's the way we discussed it in the pre-construction meetings, to bid everything, and then we'll separate it out and make sure it comes out of the correct.
It's real, a lot of the items are very clear, what is CIP for the existing, what are the jail bonds? Like the new roof, I mean, the generator, I'm not so sure what side you're gonna slide that on, that's a big ticket item, but that I have to rely on Brooke to tell
Yeah,
me.
like generators and boilers and those type of things that they were listed in the CIP, but they were listed at a smaller size to handle the smaller buildings. So because of the added footprint and all the additional square footage and electrical needs, we'll put that onto the LEC bond because we'll have to upsize everything. So that can go into the new construction, and then we'll still have from the CIP bond for the VAV replacement, some of the flooring that was in the existing, the ceiling grid and lights that was in the existing, the siding, demo and reinstall, and the windows that are in the old existing part of the building, that'll come out of the CIP. And the CIP we're sitting at right now is, we had about $2,080,000 in the CIP for 3 separate buildings, and Brady and I went through that, and with my current projects with boilers and the downstairs remodel and everything, we're sitting at just over $720,000 in projects that we've already spent that money, or it's already been approved and earmarked for projects. So we're still, a good sizable portion, over $1 million available in the CIP bond. And that's not touching the community
So we
center
can-
one.
Yeah, so when we get our final numbers on the basement project, the rest of the courthouse, and we have to do a little bit at the highway department, and then the rest can go towards this, so.
Okay, and their comments, Commissioner Gamble?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So if there's a best way of doing this, in your experience, our question basically from a stewardship responsibility is that this will all align so that, what Kristen is requesting is that we have that and we show that this has been thought through and that, again, there won't be any surprises in that regard, so,
I'd still recommend a 10% contingency, just be, that there,
yeah.
we can't foresee everything.
Yeah, yeah. Madam Chair, I'd make a motion then to approve the construction bids for the LEC expansion project.
I'll support. Any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
And I'm sure
Yep.
Sheriff Eliason is very happy about the next steps.
Thank you for sitting there quietly, too, Pat.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, we'll go to Auditor Brady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, first item is, we're being asked to be a fiscal agent for Superior Cycling Association. They've solicited a grant from IRRR for $27,000, and that's to complete a section of the Pincushion Bike Trail, known as the Back 80. They started that rehabilitation using the 2023 Environmental Trust grant. That was about a $200,000 grant, but it wasn't quite enough to finish that. So SCA is actually solicited there, the grantee, but they'll only allow that with a governmental entity being the fiscal agent. So we'll probably, well, I know we will be coming back at another meeting to approve a contract. I assume we'll keep going forward with the contractor that's done the rest of the work on Pincushion. This is a small amount that in and of itself does not require bidding. We can negotiate contracts. So Tim Kennedy was going to be here if you had any further questions on this, but I think this part is simple, that yes, we need to be the fiscal agent, and we'll come back with more on the contract, probably at the next meeting, so.
Any questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve us as the fiscal agent for the $27,000 grant.
Support.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
So next item is public notice. We're required to put out for allocation of secure rural school funds. We've gotten these funds every year now for, I don't know, better than 10 years, I think. Since they changed the law, we used to get a 25% of the revenue they generate, but they created this new law so that there was regular funding, not dependent upon the work done out in the forest. Unfortunately, it's becoming as unknown as the other method now, as the funding this year came in much lower than it had been. We've been receiving between $25,000 and $30,000 a year, and this year our funding for Title III is down to $11,787. This also affects the highway and the school because they get the bulk of this. They get the Title I part of this, so that's why the highway mentioned that, the lowered federal funds, and that's because of this, they're assuming the same thing next year. So they get 42.5%, the school gets 42.5%, and then this gives 7% for the Title III. It supports our Firewise program. That's one of the uses allowed for it. And primarily, it is for the administration that isn't included in the other state grants that we get for Firewise. So this really, the coordinator that goes out and gets the assessments done and all the public contact, et cetera. So, just your expectation, we may be coming back for a levy at some point because we'll run out of funds if this is the new standard. But we really don't know. I haven't received any information on this. This is just the money that showed up in our bank account. So, but we have to go out for a 45-day comment period before we can use it. So that's what I'm asking you for today after that long-winded explanation. Just to accept it and put it out for 45 days that we're going to use it for the Firewise program.
Comments? Commissioner Gamble?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Brady, regarding this secure rural funds, would you say that the change in how they distribute or whatever, determines allocation of those dollars is attributable to that change? Or is it like when you're looking at our investments where we see that we see shifts in the market? So is it impacted more by the market, or is it impacted by the change of how we?
I think it's a congressional decision. So
Yeah.
it's what they approve in whatever bills they approve each year.
Okay.
And this is a line item in the federal budget, and it appears there was just it's a lesser amount that they've
Yeah.
approved.
And
But our
it-
allocations, everybody has to choose how they allocate it. There isn't much difference in how you can take it, but we take it with the Title II and the Title III and the 7 and 8%, and then split the rest with the
Yeah.
highway and school, but that's pretty much set. You can only change that 2 and 3 numbers by the county's choice, and we get more money for our use the way we do it now. So.
Yeah. And as a follow-up, you mentioned that we use it, I mean, it's limited in how it can be used, and we've used
Yeah.
it in Firewise, but what are some of the other options that we have when
The
it
oth-
comes?
Not much. It's the other main one, it all has to be related to federal, and the Firewise is related to the federal forest, that
Yeah.
we are, we're on the edge, we're
Yeah.
part of that, so it's allowed for that. But the other one is search and rescue
Okay,
in the federal forest. Those are the two main uses for it.
thank you.
And we have used it for that, too, so.
Yeah.
I do have a question, because I know we've had this position filled and then not filled. Currently, do we have a coordinator?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
It's
We
a-
don't have to go any
Yeah,
further with that.
it's a
Okay.
company called Paradigm,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
They do this in Lake County, too, so.
Oh, okay.
Or- is
Thanks
it
for the
Lake or
update.
is it-
Yeah, it's Lake.
It is Lake, no.
Thanks for the updating on that. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Gamble?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the attached notice for publication for the allocation of use of the 2024 Secure Rural Schools Title III funds.
Support.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. So the last item is the general fund budget review for this is for the second quarter of 2025. So it's a report of the budget to actual, and the report shows general fund budgets generally that require a levy to support their expenses. There's a few exceptions like E911 that is totally revenue funded, and aquatic invasive species, which is totally grant-funded, but we want to track those, and I think the board likes to see. Those are large items, as is the money that comes in on leases for our towers. We track that, too, because that's going to go, we're tracking all of it, but, I mean, here publicly for you, it's going to fund our new towers replacements. But generally, these are our levy budgets. And at 50% of the year, you would expect, in a perfect world, 50% revenue and expense, but our expenses are at 46%, so that's a good sign for first half of the year. And revenues are at 63%. That's not unusual at this point because we get that the big federal funding in May and June, the federal PILT money, which tilts the revenue that way. So our net expense right now is 29%. That'll, of course, change by the end of the year. One of the big items, and I'll just get on the list of some things I've highlighted, but ask anything that catches your eye. But Department 41, General Finance Revenue, that's our interest money is still coming in very strong. The rates have dropped slightly, but they still remain high at just over 4%. I mean, historically, that's a high number for us for investment earnings. It was 4 to 5.5% 2 years ago, so it's dropped in the last 2 years. But the expectation is that that's going to drop down to more historical rates, but it continues for the third year in a row. The expenses in that department, we pay all the general insurance in the first part of the year. That's when the bill comes from MCIT. This is the portion that they don't split out by department for us, so we put it in this one department. In the general fund, data processing is a little bit high on revenues, and that's because of the services they charge PHHS for their computer services, and that's just a little higher than what was budgeted. Our elections, the revenue is high, and that's the timing. We really budget that over a 2-year cycle because most election revenue and expense is every 2 years. But this was the reimbursements from the towns, the cities, and schools for the 2024 elections that came in 2025. Under the Administrator Department, this is the reimbursement from the hospital for the shared Public Information Officer. Well, that reimbursement was received in July after this report. Same thing for the Victim Witness Coordinator. The reimbursement for the state grant comes in August, so it doesn't appear here. For the sheriff, their revenue is low. The city payment is being received in July. It's already been received, but it's not on here. And their state amortization aid, which is over $100,000, isn't paid until in the fall. So they look low. The next one is just a typo. There was nothing with the sheriff response unit. The E911 revenue, the state shared revenue exceeds the budget. We don't put it all into the budget, but we receive more than we need. It goes into that fund balance. And then they had an expenditure, a large expenditure in March for a radio system. Under 221 radio, their tower lease fees are exceeding their budget. The jail costs are down. The out-of-county jail boarding and medical costs are lower than we budgeted. These are much lower than, say, 10 years ago. That's the big story. Those used to be so high, we thought about expanding that jail because of those increasing costs were getting so high that it was going to trigger that. But then, since then, they've continued to come down. Environmental health, the Lakeshore Septic Compliance Funds are coming later. It's from the Rainy River watershed, so that's not showing up here yet. The SCORE recycling, they haven't received that first half funding yet. No doubt they will. Emergency Service Conference, their donations were less than budgeted. They didn't have the professional fees. They didn't need the donations. YMCA always shows up as high revenue because we received the reimbursement for the previous year in January. And Extension, they're not asking for the backpack donations that they budgeted. They're going to spend down that fund balance. They have a fund balance you don't see here. And then you have that high revenue that came in from the federal revenues in that miscellaneous department. And that's it, unless you have any questions.
Brady, I would have a question just on the reimbursements and the grant money coming. Do you expect that when we start discussing really in depth the levy in September, do you think these monies will be here, or are we looking at almost the end of the year?
No, I think most of these, the half-year revenues, these are all stable programs. It's just a timing thing right now. When you cut off at June 30th, you're just going to miss some of those things. So there's nothing there that I'm concerned about.
Okay. That's reassuring. Thank you. Commissioner Mills?
Off topic, but I want to let Tim know that we approved to be the fiscal agent, so we need to, yeah.
Is that for the cycling?
Yeah.
You can go get another donut.
Yeah.
Get something back in a couple of weeks anyway, because we're going to have
Yeah,
to talk about the
right.
agreement and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Commissioner, just to make sure that I'm understanding, Brady, so all of the grant funding is secure for this year. It's just a matter of when we receive the funds
Yeah,
in the budget.
Everything you've seen on here for grant funding is secure. It's
Okay.
just when they come.
Thank you.
And some are contracts, like that
Witness.
attorney has a contract, and we've got a contract with the hospital for the PIO and things like that.
Sure.
The
Thank
city
you.
contract for law enforcement, those are secured historically, so.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gamble?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So Brady, speaking of the contract, Sheriff, the contract with the city, when's the last time that was negotiated?
Well, I think it's been discussed a few times, but I don't think it hasn't changed since.
I think we have,
A long time.
situations like that in the past, and it's
Yeah.
always good to revisit. We might try to start that up, but,
Yeah.
and when we look throughout the county and those relationships where we've negotiated, it just, looking at that and seeing it's reflective of what our current situation is. I think when we look at, we'll take the YMCA as an example. There was an agreement with the YMCA, and the city pretty much has stuck to its commitment, and the county, bears the brunt of that. So when we look at shared responsibility and benefit, it's just a matter of distribution. If it seems in good faith and common sense that it's reflected in that contract. That'd be one thing. The other thing is that the revenues that come, like on the lease of towers and things like that, any other revenue source that we have, if it is defined by law as to what we can do with those funds, or if we define for ourselves a policy that determines how those monies can be used.
Yeah, there are other things. We have several sources I could bring to another meeting sometime,
Yeah.
maybe at a committee of the whole, if you want to look at some of those.
Yeah, and I think when you get into the budget process, when we're looking to try to find, dollars, that if we have pools of money and it's supported by policy that allows us to be able to use those funds or not. And I think having an understanding of that just helps us to be better stewards of those dollars, so that would be
Yeah.
appreciated.
Sure.
Commissioner Mills?
I just wanted to update the board that we came to what I understood as a pretty good agreement regarding the law enforcement contract, but apparently we haven't got it quite over the finish line yet. So, but Sheriff Eliason and Rowan were involved in that, and Administrator Roth. So I think we were all on the same page. It's just that final step there, so.
I think any of those things when we're looking at, there's a lot of things to manage because it's multi-layered, but certainly agreements and contracts and things like that, just having a cycle that is revisiting, and I just think it builds integrity into the process, so.
Absolutely.
Like I say, there's a lot of moving parts on it, but it is in a commissioner of the whole, that would be a good forum to be able to discuss these things and sort of understand, get a handle on all of the
Sure.
moving parts.
Commissioner White?
And to that end, this started years ago, but there were the commissioners in the city working together, and we started with the streets. And I don't know if that contract was actually signed before the snow was falling, but that's completed. And now I hear about law enforcement. So my question is, when are we going to be doing the YMCA? Because I believe now this would be Commissioner Gamble, and I would be the two county. And do we have a timeline for that?
The
Or
discussion
initiate-
that we had was that we would enter into that discussion once the law enforcement
Okay.
contract was settled. So one contract at a time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments on the budget? Commissioner Sullivan?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the report for second quarter 2025.
Support?
Any further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Brady, on
Thank
all
you.
of that. We look forward to the numbers. Moving on to item number 7, we have administrator updates.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. So given this is the start of my second week, I thought I would take this opportunity just to update everyone on the work that I've been doing over the last week, which has essentially been meet and greets with people throughout the county as well as the community. So just to share with you who I have met, I've met with our management team. I've met with folks over at the City Hall, Mayor Benson, Administrator Roth, Patrick Knight, met with Linda Jurek from the Visit Cook County and the Chamber. I've met with folks at North Shore Health, Administrator, I might be saying her name incorrectly, but Vralstad. And also CEO Serba from the Sawtooth Mountain Clinic. I've met with Superintendent Chris Lindholm, the sheriff and some folks from the sheriff's office and some staff, the director of the YMCA, and then Arena took me up to Grand Portage where I met with Chairperson Bobby Deschamps, Anna Deschamps, and a couple other members of the tribe. I've also toured the county facilities, most of the facilities. I haven't made it to all of the facilities yet. I did my first WTIP interview with Kirsten and ended the week with the transfer station grand opening, where I had a great opportunity to meet many community members, which was a fantastic time, and ended the day at Grand Portage with the Rendezvous Days. So it's been a busy week. I will share that everyone has been unbelievably welcoming, and it's just been a great opportunity so far. So excited to be here.
Great. Glad you've been able to get out and about and start the review of this community, plus maybe nature too.
Yes,
in the
yes,
future.
thank you.
Moving on to employee concerns, commissioner concerns, reports, meeting updates. Anybody have anything to share? I guess I'll just start off by saying I enjoyed going up to the new transfer station because we're going to have one in the West End. I wanted to see how this is laid out, and it's really, kudos to Dustin and the team and all of us, setting aside money for this type of thing, because it just makes so much sense the way it's set up, to drive in, pay for what you need to pay for, drive around and see the different places to deposit your items and then to leave. So, it's good things coming to the West End too, so looking forward to that. Any other meetings to share? Commissioner White?
No, I just wanted to add about the transfer station event, that it gave our new administrator a time to be introduced to many people from District 1, and I've not heard one negative comment or a concern. She, I wouldn't say wowed them, but she's very, the East End is very hopeful that we're going to get really good leadership in this county. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anyone else? Commissioner Sullivan?
Certainly, thank you. So one of the things I've been doing is attending the AMC Solid Waste Work Group on a monthly basis, and I'll send to Janice so she can distribute to all of you 3 PowerPoints that we've put together on all the solid waste facilities that we've toured and looked at. I had an opportunity with members of the Highway Department and our Ag Inspector to be part of the Pole Plant Protect event back in late July, and we had 40 members of the public that showed up to learn about terrestrial invasive species, and we went out in the pouring rain, but that's a really good time to pull, and just the entire end of the Gunflint really received some good cleaning and tidying up. So we had 3 truckloads of pulled plants that came back to be burned at some point. So very successful in, again, educating our public and getting them involved. I attended a couple of Lake Association meetings. The Poplar Lake Area Association wants to express their appreciation that Sheriff Eliason brought a speed sign, a little temporary speed sign that's electronic up on the Gunflint Trail. It flashes speed limit 40 and then what you're going. And that, along with Engineer Hass's little green men that sit in the middle of the Gunflint Trail, really have helped the speeding issues. So that was very appreciated. And then that organization also had a representative from Minnesota Lakes and Rivers that attended. And they are doing a lot of research on wake boats and have looked at Caribou Lake and the ordinance that we established here in Cook County as a potential model for the state. There have been a number of articles in the Minnesota Tribune lately about wake boats and the turbidity that they create, the damage to the shoreline, and they're looking at that as a possibility of also our decreasing loon population in the state of Minnesota. So there is research currently being done on the Gunflint Trail. There are about 15 lakes that have a monitor that goes out and counts the loons. Is there a pair? Are there chicks? And we're doing water quality testing, and it'll be a study that will go on for a long time, but that will really help us to understand the decline in our loon population. I attended a native governance webinar over a period of 3 weeks talking about tribal sovereignty, and really gave me some good ideas about how we can continue to move forward with our relationship and work with Grand Portage. We had a Firewise meeting, and as Auditor Powers said, we have less federal funding than we've had in the past, and more requests because of the damage to our balsam firs from spruce budworm. So that is going to be a major challenge. I think it's the first time I've ever heard the word levee and Firewise connected. It's not something we've ever needed before, but certainly for the safety and security of our community, that will be potentially something we'd look at. We had a great turnout at Fisherman's Picnic. The booth was really fun. I want to thank Jana and also Brooke Lessard for setting up and taking down. That's a big task. But we had lots of people come, and we were located close to the 1854 treaty booth, Aquatic Invasive Species, Cook County Coalition of Lakes. So it was this nice little county hub where people could work together. And I want to thank our new administrator for coming to Fisherman's Picnic and stepping into our booth and seeing what all we do. We had our Soil and Water Conservation District meeting last week, and talked a little bit about the work that's being done on the Little Devil Track River. Obviously, Soil and Water and the Highway Department are both working on that project, and they had a little shout out to the Flintlock Shooting Range, or Flintlock Sports Park, for the fact that they donated the trees that are being planted to stabilize the shoreline there. And lastly, I went to the Saginaw Seagull Property Owners Association on Saturday, and they have some concerns about wanting to get county support for maintaining the road that goes to their dumpster. That is on U.S. Forest Service land. It's not on a county road. So there was a lot of discussion about how to manage that, and what we agreed to is, it turns out that for years, this Property Owners Association has managed the maintenance of the road and the plowing. They've never asked anybody else who has dumpsters, lots of the resorts at the end of the trail, to contribute. So we're just going to ask and start a conversation. I think it will go really well. But that would be it for my updates for this meeting.
Commissioner White?
Well, and I would like to add in about the meeting at the Council on Aging yesterday, and they had more than 1,000 people sign in to the facility in the month of July. It's not just, it's usage of the facility for different events, chair yoga, things like that, and then the meals. And they have a new cook that I'm heard is actually a real cook, I mean, in training. So I've had some of the new meals, and I heard the pork chops are really, really good, but I missed that one. So that's it.
Commissioner, are you referring to the hub?
Yes,
Okay.
the hub.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. No.
Oh, one more thing about that. Sorry. It's okay. They would like to invite you, as the new administrator, to come to one of their meetings when it works for you, because they'd like to talk to you and answer any questions you might have.
I would be honored to.
Okay.
I'm reminded, when we talk about invasive species, I do have good news about one of them. You probably have seen the bellflower. It's a purple.
Yeah.
It's all edible. You could, as long as it's not sprayed, so if you have them in your yard, you can pluck off the little purple flower and put it in a salad. You can dice up the stem right down to the root, and also that's edible. And I thought, if we could only do that to tansy, we would be having a lot of salads, I think. But it is edible, so everybody, you can pull it in your yard and have a nice, pretty salad with it. And that's from a botanist who wrote the article, so I trust that they know. I'll try it tomorrow. If I'm not here the rest of the week, you'll know why.
Yeah.
Any further reports? Otherwise, we can move on to our upcoming meetings. As you see, we have a lot of meetings coming on. Tomorrow, we're going to have meet and greet here in the courthouse, which is a monthly event. And then in the afternoon, we'll move up to the community center and have a public meet and greet with our new administrator. So looking forward to that. Recognition of staff. We have August staff anniversaries. The first one is Alyssa Shoshurba, Highway Department, for 3 years. Andrea Orst, Public Health and Human Services, 4 years. Jacob Backer from the Highway Department, 6 years. And then we have milestone anniversaries. Josh Dix from the Highway Department, 5 years. And Robbie Kimmelhaas, Highway Department, 5 years. And with that, no more business, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Support?
We are adjourned.
Well, we made that short for you.
Yeah, that was. That was great.
Pretty soon you'll be through all of the awkwardness of. Yeah.